he was a man who dressed up nicely. Not like he wore the best clothes. He wore the best clothes, really, like the best clothes in town. He would buy the best clothes, and he would buy the best perfumes. And before he goes to teach hadith in the masjid, he would fill his beard and hair with perfume. He would smell so nice. Like people in Medina knew that Imam Malik just passed by his smell. He had a sweet smell. Okay? So Imam Malik was living a life of luxury. Still, he was one of the great Imams. So there was a Jewish person in Medina. Poor, very poor, living a miserable life. Poor, struggling. He sees Imam Malik and he says, your prophet said, you guys say that your prophet Muhammad said, الدنيا جنة المؤمن سجن المؤمن وجنة الكافر. That your prophet said this life is like jail for the believer. It's like Jannah for the disbeliever. I'm a disbeliever. Right? I just believe in Muhammad. I'm a disbeliever. So this life is supposed to be a jail for you and Jannah for me. But look, it's like I live in a jail and you live in Jannah. How come? Imam Malik said, listen, this life for me, all the luxury that I live, compared to paradise, is like a prison. It's like a prison. This life is nothing, because this is nothing compared to Jannah. It's like a prison for me. But this life of misery and struggling that you live is miserable, right? Is like Jannah compared to what's awaiting you in the hellfire. So that's how the hadith works. So the guy actually took note of that and he thought about it. And then he came later and he actually embraced Islam and became a Muslim. Okay? So that's the secret of khashi'in. Really, you want khushu'? Put your life in perspective. Knowing that when you wake up in the morning, you know that's just a new day that was given to you. And that's not what life is. What life is that one day we will return to Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ, we quoted this hadith before, by the way. He said, "Man ahabba liqa Allah, ahabba Allah liqa'ahu." The one who looks forward to meeting Allah, Allah will look forward to meet him. That means the moment of death. So Aisha radiallahu anha said, Ya Rasulullah, وَمَن مِنَّا لَا يَكَرُ الْمَوْتِ. Who among us does not hate to die? The Prophet ﷺ says, "No, ليس كذلك." It's not this. ولكن من أعد للقاء الله أحب لقاء الله. The one who has prepared for meeting Allah, they look forward to meet Allah. They can't wait to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the one obviously who doesn't get ready, they don't want to meet Allah. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ in the hadith of Al-Bara ibn Azib, when he talked about how the moment of death, the Prophet ﷺ says, when the angel of death takes the soul of the believing person, تخرج من جسده كما تخرج القطرة من في السقاء. His soul will come out of his body so easy, like it's just like when you pour water. It's not difficult. It's not like you have, for example, let's say if you put butter, or if you let's say if you freeze this, if you leave this outside and it's -10, try to pour it, it won't pour, right? But if it's liquid like this, you pour it so easy, it comes out so easy. That's how the soul of a believer is taken out of their body, so smoothly. وَرُوحُ الْكَافِرِ تُنْزَعُ مِنْ جَسَدِهِ كَمَا يُنْزَعُ السُّفُودِ مِنَ الصُّوفِ الْمَبْلُولِ. It's like the soul of a disbeliever, it refuses. When the angel of death comes to take that soul, it holds on to the body, it doesn't want to leave. Why? Because it knows the punishment that is waiting for it. So it holds onto the body. فَتَتَفَرَّقُ فِي جَسَدِهِ. It holds onto the body. And then when the angel of death takes it, it's like the spike. You know when you put a spike in a pile of wool and you wet the wool is wet, you put the spike in it and then you pull it out. It's hard. It's gonna actually, the wool is gonna come off on the spikes. That's how the soul, how the angel of death is going to take the soul of a disbeliever out of their body. Why? Because they don't want to meet Allah. They know what's waiting for them. So again, if we want khushu' in salah, we need to remind ourselves that we're going to go back to Allah. So we should look forward to that. That's number one. And when you pray in that way, and you develop patience within yourself, you strengthen yourself by the way. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us how to be better people in these verses. We'll stop here inshallah. We can take maybe 2 or 3 questions if there's any. Questions? Yeah. Yes, okay. So the homework is, at the time the Prophet made hijrah to Medina, there were Jewish tribes. What are their names? Find out the names of the Jewish tribes who lived in Medina at the time of the hijrah. That's your homework next week inshallah. Any questions?
As you described about this documentary, according to the theory of evolution by Darwin, the life starts from unicellular to multicellular and then to the human and animals like this. Is there any scientific theory that is very near to the Quranic version?
Is there any scientific?
Any scientific theory other than the Darwin theory or any other theory that is very close to the Quranic version?
Okay. Now with regards to the beginning of the creation and how all these different species came about to be, okay?
They claim that it's unicellular, then multicellular, and then apes, and then...
Yes, I mean there are...
Something like that.
Obviously now what is dominant in the scientific, in the scientific circles, what's dominant is the Darwinian theory, okay? The thing is, in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't talk about how the species developed. Allah says that He created the creation. With regards to Adam, Allah said that He created him with His own hands. So we hold on to that. Now in the theory of evolution, if anything in the theory of evolution is not just one idea, it's a very complex notion. So anything in the theory, it's still, at the end of the day, it's a theory. And they cannot say it's fact, by the way. Maybe certain bits of it, there is some facts about it, but that species developed, or there was a cross, what they call a cross-species evolution. Like chimpanzees becoming something else, birds becoming lizards, etc. That kind of, still that's a theory. Still that's a theory, because there's no way you can observe it, basically. So some elements of the theory of evolution seem to have some evidence, but whatever in it that does not contradict the Quran and the Sunnah, we treat it as scientific theory, fine, we don't have to. But when it comes to saying that humans developed from apes or from some kind of a common ancestor with apes and monkeys, etc., we say in the Quran Allah says that He created Adam with His own hands. So we dismiss that one. Is there any other scientific theory that sort of lines up with the Quran? We say the Quran left it open. Allah did not say how He brought this creation. So we don't have to either contradict or agree. We leave that for science, for scientists. They deal with it, and we know a lot of these are just theories because they're not observable. These, we're talking about what they claim to be things that happened millions of years and billions of years ago. How do we know? So still, there's theories, and we just treat them as theories. That's it. Yeah. Any more questions? Nothing? Yes.
إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر.
Yes, very good question.
Make it easier for us. Like someone is keep praying and still do some other stupid things.
Very good. The verse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر. Indeed, the salah is a deterrent. It stops you from evil things and lewdness and inappropriate behavior. Right? That applies to salah when you pray with khushu'. When you pray the way we described. If you pray the prayer, it's going to be an exercise of faith, and when you exercise your faith, your iman becomes stronger, automatically that translates into good behavior. But if a person just is praying physically, just going through the motions, they're not going to have that impact. So that's why sometimes you find someone who's actually praying, but you don't find them of a good character. Or you find them pray in the masjid, but when you deal with them in business, they cheat, they lie, Or you find someone like they pray the masjid but they don't treat their family well.
Can we say that prayer is not accepted?
That's not for us to say their prayers not accepted. These people pray to Allah. Allah is going to hold them accountable. We're not judges. So for us, we see them pray. Alhamdulillah, pray. It's good. But who judges their prayer? Allah. We're not judges over them. Yeah. Like, we'll set you free, inshallah. And see you in the next week. Don't forget the homework. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.
That's it.